Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
Chad here. You've got questions, I've got keto pros and cons. Once again, coming back to my question from my man Sam, who wants to get shredded. Is the keto diet the best way to get shredded? I honestly can't answer that question for you because I think it varies from person to person. I am not a keto diet advocate, by the way. I know that lots of people seem to assume that because I talk about the science of keto diets, but that's just because that's what I'm reading about right now. I'm okay with about 1 million different types of diets. I think it's important that you choose whatever diet fits your goals at that time. So let's quickly touch on the keto diet with just some pros and cons that are just general. I'm not going to touch on cancer and stuff like that. That's going to be a much more advanced talk for maybe a different time. So let's jump right in and take a look at the pros. So the pros of not eating carbohydrates and eating this ketogenic diet, and mind you, again, this is not a ketogenic diet in the sense that, oh, this is a high protein diet, it's just a no carb diet. I mean, when I say ketogenic diet, I want you to think 20% protein, 80% fat. That's what I want you to think of. I don't want you to think keto diet, no carbs. No, it's got to be 80% or more fat, or it's not a keto diet. If you're doing 70% fat, I don't consider your diet to be a keto diet unless you can show me the blood work. First thing you're going to have is improved insulin sensitivity because you don't have that constant influx of carbohydrates. You can see this in fasting as well. There's a lot of research on Ramadan where because the individuals are fasting for such a long period of time, their insulin sensitivity improves because the body's not constantly pumping it out. Obviously, with improved insulin sensitivity, you have improved blood glucose. People who are pre-diabetic or even type 2 diabetic see that their blood glucose comes back down to normal levels whenever they implement a ketogenic diet. Ketone production. There's a massive amount of research out there talking about how ketones are actually the preferred fuel for our brains. Our brains actually function better on ketones than they function on glucose. And the thing that I think is really interesting is the research that's now being done on ketone esters. They're using like beta hydroxybutyrate or butanediol, and they're giving them to people as supplements and then checking their brain function. It's much better. So moving on from that, better endurance. When they tested athletes, the athletes that were fat adapted actually had better endurance. Why? Because you're carrying your fuel source around with you, so it's readily accessed. And then also remember, fat, just stay with me here. Fat has roughly 9 calories per gram, whereas carbohydrates only have 4 calories per gram. So if you're keto adapted, you can be eating fat and getting a higher percentage of calories. Mind you, I don't really like those numbers because if you know the science behind it, you know that a calorie is not a calorie. I mean, sometimes a gram of fat, you may get 10 calories from a gram of fat, and sometimes you may get 6. Sometimes your body's a little bit more or less efficient. Same thing goes for carbohydrates. Your body can be more or less efficient. You may only absorb 2 calories out of a gram of carbohydrate if your body's not efficient. And then muscle sparing. Surprised? Most people probably are. A ketogenic diet is muscle sparing. I'm going to touch on this really quick. Lonnie Lowry did an article recently called "Are You a Protein Burner?" And the thing is, if you overeat protein, this is why it's so important that you're eating an 80% fat diet. If you overeat protein, your body does burn protein, which actually can cause you to burn some muscle, because your body will upregulate the enzymes that break down protein because you're eating so much of it, and so then your body's going to want to burn more protein because it has the enzymes available. If you're eating an 80% fat diet though, your body will actually spare muscle because it has so much fat to burn off of it. And the other thing is too, whenever the body runs out of fuel, like they go, oh, I didn't get to eat for 8 hours, your body's going to turn to fat cells, because when your body is super efficient and your body says, hey, I've got all these enzymes for burning fat. So when I run out of fats to burn, oh, I know, I'll just go burn some of that stored body fat rather than making a whole bunch of new enzymes to go burn your muscle. So the idea that ketogenic diets, and I speak very strictly about this ratio of having 80% or more fat, ketogenic diets that are truly ketogenic diets and are following the ketogenic ratio are actually muscle sparing. So, and the other thing is, to throw this out there just very, very quickly, if you were in a calorie deficit, if you are in a calorie deficit, you can actually factor in the amount of stored body fat that you're burning into your total of the 80-20 split there, and so you technically could be consuming less than 20% of your calories. Let me put it this way, you could overeat protein hypothetically because your body's making up for that difference in the 80-20 split from pulling it from your body fat. Does that make sense? I hope so. So anyways, next time we come back around, we're going to touch on the cons, but I hope that was simple, concise, and easy to pick up on some of the reasons why you might consider a ketogenic diet. Again, I'm not advocating this for anyone. I'm just letting you know this is the information out there, and it's up to you to make the best decision for what fits your goals. That's all I got for you guys today.
What's the matter with you people? I was joking! Don't you know a joke when you hear one?